Good to go? All right. I'd like to call this meeting of the Boylston Regional School Committee to order. Is there anyone here for public comments? Nope. Okay. No public comments. So I have a prepared statement I'd like to read, and we're going to keep this short. We have another meeting starting no later than 5:30, so not a meeting, but a workshop. So I'd like to read this and go ahead. There's a few things here I'd like to say. So thank you everyone for joining us on the stream and in the room here tonight. The last couple of weeks have been a little confusing to say the least, so I'd like to clear up a few items that came about from our last meetings. And I consider what I'm about to say as sort of a resetting of expectations around the school committee. So one point of misunderstanding that's come about from for some people, I think, is the actual role that the school committee as the ultimate governing body for the district plays. So I would like to state a statement from the Massachusetts website. According to DESE, the school committee has oversight and responsibility for the school system. It sets the direction in which the system must go and establishes criteria to determine if its goals and policies are being met. In practice, this means we cover a few different areas. We hire and oversee the superintendent of the schools. We set district policy and we vote on the district's budget. The committee is an elected position from the towns. It is not appointed by anyone, not the superintendent or anyone else. Several recent events have brought some members of the public in to question this role, so I'm hoping to clear the air tonight. First, the committee sets policy, and some of these policies cover its ultimate responsibility and oversight of curriculum, finances, behavior, and special education. So for example, when a committee member asks for a list of materials or books, it's not an attempt to ban these materials. It's simply an attempt to learn more about the schools and what's provided. Book banning has been a popular topic online in our community recently, and with some members of the public in our meetings. So I'd like to reaffirm for all those who are confused that the committee, as far as I know it, has no intention of banning any book or material. I do understand your concern though. So I would like to offer to anyone who is still feeling that there might be materials that you think that the committee might be interested in banning, please come talk to us about this. Let us know your specific concerns and let's have a conversation about it. But I personally know of no plans to ban anything by this committee. That's point number one I'd like to make. Next, I had at our last meeting, we had several students from Tohoto came and they presented, and I had invited them to come.
The screen has died.
The screen has died?
Yeah, the whole screen has died.
Okay. We've been hacked.
Oh my God. All right, you're good.
We're good to go?
Yeah.
Was that first part caught or should I start?
Yeah, it was. I stopped you right at the start.
All right, so it seems the stream is back up, so I'll continue. So I had invited those students to come back here tonight to have a conversation, but they understandably, respectfully declined. But it was brought to my attention that our conversation at our last meeting didn't go as smoothly as it could have. So during this presentation, the curriculum director had the 3 Tohoto students read her slides to us, and then we had a conversation. It didn't go very smoothly. That was my fault, and I take responsibility for that. For some background on this, during the agenda preparation for that meeting, I had asked Superintendent Costello to ask our curriculum director to present to the committee on how they balance the state's requirement for to incorporate DEI philosophies into their curriculum selection, and how they balance that with the need to focus on and improve academic performance. I think the committee was surprised that the Tohoto students were here to present, but as the meeting went on, I think we're looking forward to hearing their specific experiences in our district around this topic. I know this is a sensitive subject, but the intent was to have a conversation with the administration about the practice of selecting curriculum to present to the school committee for approval and how these state requirements impact student academic achievement. The conversation did not go perfectly. There wasn't much of a conversation, but I personally did have some questions to ask during that presentation. After the meeting, I considered how my questions to the administration and the presenters didn't necessarily come out as smoothly as they had formed in my head when I wanted to address them. Go figure. I do take responsibility for my questions to the presenters and to the students if in any way they felt slighted or uncomfortable. I'm sorry for that. I find it's best to have direct conversations even when the subject matter can be a bit uncomfortable, and I recognize that it wasn't perfect, but I'm responsible for how my questions came across. Sometimes in these meetings with our unscripted conversations, we may not always be at our best, and I think this happens in the outside world too, at our jobs, at your job, my job, everybody's job. I want to clear that up tonight. I hope this can be a moment where everyone realizes that when we step back and reflect on things, we can realize that maybe we weren't in our best in some areas, but it doesn't hurt to revisit things and try to make good. So that is the second point I'd like to make. The third point I would like to make is a big one. I want to address another item that came out of that meeting October 10th. The committee received an email from the co-president of the Special Education Parents Advisory Council, CPAC's Jessica Meltzer. Jessica's email said, in part, and I'll quote, "Anyone who is white, heterosexual, and neurotypical is tremendously privileged in our society and district." That's the end of the quote. The emphasis there was on "and district." So you all know, I replied to this email, and when I did reply, I made a mistake. I did not clarify that my words reflect my personal opinion and not a statement from the school committee. This committee did not discuss a response to this email. I want to be very clear. When I said that the CPAC's co-president, Jessica Meltzer's comments to the committee were racist and bigoted, I said that as myself. This is not the stance of the committee. I said these comments, and I stand by them. Discriminatory language has no place in this district, and on this, we have in fact discussed, voted on, and adopted policy to this effect. I hope this clarifies the issue for the BBEA Executive Council, which also questioned the authority of the school committee chair to ask the superintendent to look into possible conflicts with CPAC in these discriminatory comments, and then asked a very simple question to the individual committee members. But I stand by that these earlier comments are mine and not the committee's. To be clear, they are my comments that claim the CPAC president's words are a racist position to have and not a statement of the committee. If any individual committee members want to respond or to the BBEA Executive Council's email, that's your choice, it's up to you. In my experience, children do not make such comparisons about race or sexual orientation. But so long as we have adults who continue to insist on separating humans into different groups based on characteristics that they are born with, such as skin color or sexual orientation, and promoting that this is either good or bad, we will continue to have problems in the world that revolve around these characteristics. This is my personal opinion, not the committee's opinion. And it's this belief that drove my response to the CPAC co-president while classifying her comments as racist and bigoted. That's all I'd like to say on that. If anyone would like to say anything, please feel free.
Yep, I would.
Okay.
So, as everyone knows, I was pretty vocal before I joined the school committee. Again, these comments are my own, not reflecting the school committee's position. I was pretty vocal, and I was disappointed with the electronic communications replies to any of those communications. It wasn't until I joined the committee that the electronic communications policy I read in full, which limits individual people to reply to with any substantial content outside discussion of the open meeting law. So, as a parent, a graduate of Tohoto, and community member of this district, diversity, equity, and inclusion are of utmost importance to me and the values I hold. No member of this district, be they staff or student or parent, should feel any less represented, comfortable, engaged, or welcome based on their religion, skin color, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation, gender, or any other identity. Professionally, I've served an extremely diverse cultural and racial patient population at a community health center in Worcester for 11 years. Personally, I have loved ones that are gay, transgender, and of different racial backgrounds. I'm fiercely protective of them and their children, and I'm fiercely protective of this district and the environment that the staff has tried to create for their students in these schools in our district. As I said in the 10-10-23 meeting last week, representation does matter.
Would anyone else like to say anything? Okay, that's all we have on the agenda for tonight, so motion to adjourn this meeting.
So.
Lori, Julie second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? All right, so our meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Does anybody want to take a quick break before we get started? Are they ready to start now, or do you want to
They
wait?
are absolutely ready,
Okay.
but we have sandwiches, so if anybody wants a sandwich before the workshop,
my
you can
goodness,
help
That's a good
help
idea.
yourselves and if you have something.
Thank you.
So, no problem. Thank Nancy too.
Oh my God, thank you.
This as well.
So nice.
Yeah, so. hope you saw your-
My cheese and crackers are gonna be so filling.
I know, right? Everybody should prepare.
I know.